In this video, I'm going to teach you a powerful technique that helps us find that clear path to truth. I'm Brianna Borton, and I help people awaken to their highest selves. Subscribe to my channel and hit that bell to get alerted when I post a new video every Monday. In a world where truth seems to be out of reach in most conversations and publications, it makes absolute sense to turn toward a deeper understanding of what truth is and how to find our way there. Every week, I lead hundreds of people in the practice of deep alchemization in order to break through the illusion and come into truth, and it's my joy to help you do the same. So how exactly do we do that? Well, first, we have to be willing to not know or to be wrong. And it's very hard for so many of us because we have often built ego identities around being smart, about being right, about being decisive. And we've also been praised for these things most of our lives. We've been told by our teachers, by our parents, by our bosses, that being right and knowing the answer is the end-all be-all. It's why we get gold stars. It's why we get raises. It's why we get our allowance. It's why we get praises. These are the things that most of us, especially in our younger years, really were trying to attain. And to be willing to not be right, to not know, to be willing to stay in the inquiry is not really praised. It's not really honored in our society. So we have to remove ourselves from the approval of our culture and decide that actually I'm going to choose to be willing to not know and to be willing to be wrong. So that's the first step. And it might be the step that you have to be on for a while because there's a lot of unlearning and a lot of undoing there that has to happen for most of us in order to really allow ourselves to be fully in the inquiry. The second thing is to stay in the discomfort of the paradox. Because here's the thing, when there are two seemingly opposite things, we call that a paradox, right? That we could both be wrong and right, that we could be both good and bad, that both you could be right and I could be right, that this could be good for you and not good for you. These are all paradoxes, right? And when we come to a paradox, most of us have been trained to choose a side, right? Choose a side, or you are not decisive, or you're not clear, or whatever it is that the judgments that come upon those of us that choose not to choose sides. So when we come to a paradox, to stay in that paradox is uncomfortable, and we have to learn how to do it. We have to learn how to stay with both. And once we do that, once we can hold both as one and hold it in a field of love, really opening up our hearts and allowing love to pour forth from our heart, and allow these two seemingly opposite sides, these two seemingly opposite things to come in and be melded and alchemized and changed to something new in this field of love, something new is born. Something completely new. Like when a sperm and an egg come together, and they come together, and what comes of that is not a sperm egg. No, it's a whole new thing. It's a human that's going to be different than both of its parents, and it's going to have maybe some pieces, some little intricacies, or some DNA, or some different genes from both of those parents, but they themselves are a whole new thing. And that is what we do when we can hold a paradox of two seemingly opposite things, is that what comes next is the sacred third thing. And often the sacred third thing is leading us on the path to truth. Because the path to truth usually is what comes from holding it all in a field of love. So, want to practice? Let's practice. I encourage you real quick to think of something, and maybe you want to put it in the comments below or just jot it on a piece of paper. Where in you do you have a part of you that you don't want or you find distasteful? Maybe it's that you chew with your mouth open. That would be a very simple one. Or maybe it's that you judge other people. Or maybe it's that you judge yourself. whatever it is, that would be a good place to start, because working within oneself is always the best place to start playing with these concepts. So now that you have your thing, I hope you have it, write it down below. I'd love to hear what it is. Let's practice. So you're going to close your eyes. Let's just take a couple deep grounding breaths here. Allowing our breath to bring us all the way inside. Okay. So in this place, I want you to bring up that quality, that piece of yourself, that aspect of self that you have shunned, that you don't like. And it's just going to bring it up. Just almost like you can see it in front of you, like it may be 2 feet in front of you. Just notice if there's a texture, if there's an energy. Just notice your own energy toward it. Are you a little like repulsed, like pulling back from it? And just see if you can lean in a little bit and just get really curious about this aspect of self. Notice if it has a texture, if it has a scent, if it has a weight, if it has a density, just noticing everything about it. Okay, so now I just want you to see if you can just shift that aspect of self over to the left side just a little bit, just so that there's a clear middle left, and now we're going to be on the right. And on the right-hand side, I just want you to bring up what you might consider the opposite of that. Maybe if your example was chewing with your mouth open, which is obviously a very simplistic idea, then the opposite would be having good manners, like having perfect manners. That would be the opposite of that. Or if it was judging others, it would be never judging anyone ever, right? That might be the opposite of that. So I just want you to feel into the sense of what that side of this same thing is, right? Feel into it and just feel the energy of it. Feel if there's any density, any mass, any color, any scent, just noticing it. You're just going to move that, once you have it, all the way to the right. So in your right, you have the opposite of, or the seeming opposite of, whatever this quality was that you have wanted to disown or disdain or maybe push down in yourself. So here we are, and we have these two seemingly opposite things. So first, let's just see if you can start to notice that these are kind of like two sides of the same seesaw, if you will. Like, yes, they might seem like one is up and one is down, but they are still part of the same seesaw. Or maybe if it's easier for you to sense that they are two sides of the same coin. And as you notice that, you might want to start bringing them into the middle so that you can view them right in front of you again. So maybe one side feels like the disowned or disliked part of yourself, and the other side feels like the part that you really like, the opposite, right? So you have both of these two sides, and just start to play with it. Just start to see that it's one thing. You know, whether or not you have a preference on one side or the other, maybe you prefer up on the seesaw rather than down, or maybe you prefer heads over tails. These are just preferences, but can you see that it's still all one thing? So there's this energetic entity of manners, or this energetic entity of judgment, and just noticing that that's what this is. The whole thing is that an entity, just different aspects of it. Now, while you hold this in front of your heart, just encourage you to ground your feet into the ground, feeling earth energy really holding and supporting you, and feel that structure and support rising up through your whole being, allowing your heart center to just gently open. And as your heart center gently opens, feel it allowing love to just flow forward from it. This beautiful golden love flowing from the heart, creating this field of love in front of your heart. Now, notice that this field of love is starting to penetrate and encompass this whole entity, this whole paradoxical entity, as it starts to meld and shift in the fire of the love. And notice that it's alchemizing and shifting and changing as it's held here and continuing to be held in a field of love until it has shifted and changed all together into what is new. And as it starts to come new, allow it to open up so you can really experience that sacred third, that thing that's been alchemized, allowing it to open big and encompassing so you can really notice it. Keeping your heart open. And then you might just ask here in this space, what is true? What is absolutely true? And just allow yourself to receive the answer. And just allowing your whole system to be infused, imbued, washed over with the truth, allowing it to release and relax any aspect of you that needs it. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes again. So what we find here is that what is true is usually beyond the binary. And if you want to go deeper in this kind of practice and learn to open up to your incredible potential and expansion, I'd love to have you join in our community for spiritual growth, Love Rising. I put a link down below for you to check it out. And if you liked this video, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. And check out my other videos to create more peace and freedom in your life, like this Cosmic Council download that you are not going to want to miss, and this video all about how to tell the difference between your thoughts and your intuition. I'm sending you so much love.